25. Milrose got a running back to his right. He's got 4 receivers. Milroe looking, throwing deep. He's got Ryan Williams caught. He's running down the sideline. Breaks a couple tackles. Running. Touchdown, Alabama. What a play. Touchdown, Alabama.
And here's the snap. Hands it to Audric Estime. And that is and should be a touchdown. Here we go. Bryson Barnes has got his back behind him. It is Jaquindon Jackson. Here's the snap. Bryson Barnes looking deep. He's got a man. It's caught! He's got touchdown early. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to College Football Wraparound. I'm Cooper Naylor, and today is going to be a little different with how we do College Football Wraparound. First off, this is a pre-recorded intro that I'm putting together the day before here on Friday, and reason for that is because, one, today is a big day in the college football pregame show world. That is that Lee Corso will be retiring from College Game Day. So to be able to honor that, and because I kind of want to see that, we are pre-recording this pregame show. So it's starting here right now at 10 a.m. Central Time, and it should end about 10:30 is when we plan to end this show here today, to give you time to watch our show and then flip over to ESPN and watch the final game pick segment that Lee Corso will be a part of on College Game Day, which is big. Secondly, of recording the previous night, Jacksonville State and UCF had a 2-hour weather delay. So Jack joined me to go ahead and do the game pick segment. So I thought it necessary. Let's just use that, record a quick little intro, and there we go. So, coming up right now is our game pick segment. All right, everybody, we are back, as my guest will be here in just a moment. We're going to wait on him. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some game picks. That's what we're going to do. As he is getting set up, I'll put him on the screen as soon as he's ready. Probably need to turn my volume up so I can actually hear him. Okay. So, I think he's about ready to go. So let's get him on screen. Hello, Jack. How are you? Hello. All right. I don't know if he can hear us. So we'll wait and see if he can hear. I haven't heard anything yet. Okay, it sounds like he's having to plug his headphones into the microphone real quick.
Okay, you hear me, Cooper?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, good. All right, folks, we are still in lightning delay. So what we're going to do is right now, which I'm probably going to clip this for our game pick segment on Saturday morning. But we have 11 games that we're going to pick from. That will be the games on Saturday, and then the 2 games Sunday and the game Monday night for Labor Day.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's start out with, which I have no particular order. So let's start out with Syracuse and Tennessee. Who you got?
Syracuse and Tennessee. I think they play in Atlanta. Am I right? They're in, it used to be Georgia Dome. But anyway, I don't like them. I'm going to go Tennessee.
I think it's going to be a really close game. I think the thing is, I'll bring this up first. Both teams are losing their starting quarterbacks. Last year, Nico Iamaleava at Tennessee, and I believe last year,
Kyle McCord.
Kyle McCord at Syracuse. Yes. I was trying to make sure it was last year because sometimes stuff like that, it's. I guess that was one thing that seemed like it was, longer than what it was. So either way,
he transferred from Ohio State.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting ball game. However, I do have to agree. I think Tennessee wins the game, and I think it's going to be super close though because I feel like both teams are very close.
Yeah, I mean, for me, seeing Tennessee with what they're going to be like with a new quarterback, and I don't know. I mean, I'm going Tennessee. I think they're probably got more talent. I'll go Tennessee.
All right, I got another one that you're probably maybe easy for you to pick, but Mississippi State and Southern Miss.
Southern Miss really struggled for several years. I mean, I know you don't remember this. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, this was a really good program. Brett Favre come through there, and they beat Alabama, Auburn, Florida State. They beat a bunch of teams through the years, but they've struggled for a long time. Mississippi State struggled a little bit, but I'm still going to Mississippi State. I think they're probably a little bit better. And Southern Miss got a new coach. I believe Charles Huff just went there he left Marshall to the Southern Miss job. So I give him a year or two to maybe get a team up because if you actually go back and look at Marshall, he went to Notre Dame, I think, 2 years ago and beat them. So I think Charles Huff's a good coach, but I'm going to go Mississippi State. They need to win.
I'll agree. I think it's just, considering that it's an SEC school going to a Sun Belt school, I'll take the SEC school, Mississippi State, because I just think they have too much talent. So,
yeah,
I'll take Mississippi State. All right, next one, probably the best game. It could potentially be the best game of the year, Texas and Ohio State.
That's a big one, and honestly, I don't think I'm wrong picking either one of them. There's a lot of storylines to this one, though, and I don't know. It's Ohio State playing at home, but new quarterback. Texas coming up there with both teams are really talented. But Arch Mann in not his first start, but his first. Now that he is the starter for the next 2-3 years. I'll probably go Ohio State just because they're at home. I give it the edge being at home. If it's neutral side, I'll probably go Texas. But being at Ohio State, I'll go with them.
I got to say this, which I really do hope this game comes down to the very end. Now, I think that, and like you said, it's a quarterback battle that it's really interesting because, Julian Sands never started a college football game. You've had a lot of talk about how good he is. And now you got Arch Manning coming up there. He's starting quarterback for Texas this year. It makes it a really interesting dynamic here. I will say this. I think this game is going to be won by the defense. Which defense makes more plays? And I got to be honest. My gut tells me go Ohio State, but looking at the talent and looking at what could happen, something tells me this is going to be Sark's year to really get that big win. And I think it's similar to how they went into Alabama a couple years ago and beat Alabama. I think Texas goes to Ohio State and beats them.
Well, I think go either way, but I'll say this. Tom Ford's Julian Salin's first game. Let's look at the Ohio State quarterbacks. Well, Ryan Day's done a really good job with quarterbacks between, Will Howard there last year, Justin Fields there a couple years ago. Dwayne Haskins played for him. He's always had good quarterback play. So I would say Julian Salin's going to be okay. I think Arch Mann will be okay. This should be, honestly, this might be the best game of the year. It could be, but I think it's because they're playing at home. I would go Ohio State. That's the only reason I'd go with them.
Yeah, I will say one thing. One last thing on this game, and that is that, well, first off, I'll make, you're talking about the quarterback play. Kyle McCord probably played, I would say, better than Will Howard if you go look like comparison wise.
Right.
But I think Will Howard had better skill players around him. I think that's just what it was with Ohio State. Because, I mean, Will Howard had Jeremiah Smith throw the football to last year. So, I mean, clearly that receiver was better than any receiver Kyle McCord was throwing to while at Ohio State.
Who did Marvin Harrison Jr.? Is he still there with Kyle McCord?
That's true, yeah.
Let's not forget about him. So we can't sit there and say that it was better because that's pretty good too. But it may be a better group now, though, because they're definitely deep. You know, this Ohio State and Alabama has been really deep in wide receiver the last 10 years. So, but, I mean, it's nitpicking. Kyle McCord is probably the worst one of all the quarterbacks they've had the last several years. But he's still pretty good, though.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to our next game, Northwestern and Tulane.
Whew, that's a good one to go, too. But I don't know. There's a lot of Northwestern kind of down a little bit last year. They've had their troubles a couple years ago. And I can't think of the coach's name. I can't remember who took over. But, when I think won the bowl game his first year, struggled last year. But I'll say this. There's a lot of people talking Tulane up, talking about them being possible in the group of 5 big teams. So I go Tulane. I just, I don't know enough about both of them, but I know a lot of people's building up Tulane, so I'll go with them.
I got to say this. I think this is just like some of these other games, I think this is going to be a really close football game. And one that is in a time slot that's in competition with Syracuse, Tennessee, and then Texas, Ohio State with that early kickoff. This would be one that I would really love to watch. However, I'll say this. I think that, I would probably have to say that I think Tulane will win the game, but it's going to be close. It'll come down to the end, I think.
Yeah. Well, talk about time slots. I don't know when you're going to show it, but like Friday night, you're going to have Georgia Tech and Colorado play at the same time that Auburn better play. So you got 2 games, probably the best 2 matchups Friday night, both come on the same time. So, and hope you got 2 TVs or whatever, because it's hard to watch. Which one do you pick if you don't have a team in the fight? So,
yep. All right, let's move on to our next one: Alabama and Florida State.
Well, funny part is this first real road game Bama's opened up with since like 2000. So it's been over 25 years since they've actually played on the road the first game. You got a new quarterback. You going to first time we ever played Tallahassee. So, you got a lot there. But Florida State got a new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, coming off a 2-10 season. I think Bama's like a two touchdown favorite. I'm going Alabama. I'm a Bama fan, but I still think, just looking at it, I would go Bama. Too much talent. I think they may be close, but I think then they'll pull away. But I go Alabama.
All right. I got to be honest. I think Bama wins this game. And honestly, I think they win it worse than what a lot of people think are going to win it. And the reason why I say that is, and it all comes down to the mindset that Alabama comes into the game with. Do they come into it with the attitude that a lot of Saban's teams played with, which is, if you're going to disrespect us, we're going to come out there and really show you why we're Alabama. Because if you look at the quarterback for Florida State, Thomas Castellanos, look at the comments he said he's made this offseason. It really makes you wonder, what kind of Alabama team are you going to get? Personally, Kalen DeBoer, I really like him. I think he did a pretty good job considering everything you got to look at that Alabama went through last year. I think Bama wins this convincingly.
Yeah, it could be. First game season, you don't know what you're going to get from seeing that already tonight. You don't really know, but most talent team usually comes out on. So I think talent wins this one.
All right, LSU and Clemson's the next one. I'm going to put you on full screen because I got to get up for just a second. So I'll let you go full screen and give your answer to LSU and Clemson.
All right, here's another really good one. This actually probably the game I look to, other than Alabama, this is the game I look forward to more than any of them. LSU, Clemson, I don't know. They're tough to beat these games, but here's two teams that are playoff material, should be in the playoffs, could make a great run. And the good thing about a 12-team playoff, even to lose this game, it does not hurt them. I think it hurts Clemson worse than it would LSU. And I say that because if you look at LSU's schedule with the SEC, they'll be able to come along and have some big games later on, where Clemson really won't have the big games later on, possibly, South Carolina at the end of the year, depending on what Florida State does. I don't think they play Notre Dame, but because they play at home, the home team has a lot to do with it. And it's nighttime, and I'm going to go Clemson because, again, I personally think they will. I picked them to win that championship, so I'm going to go with them to win this one. But, I don't know. LSU's lost last 3 years. They've lost first game season. There's so much there, but I'm going to go Clemson. I think Dabo Swinney's got this team. This may be the year that they've been looking forward to. They've kind of built it up, got an older veteran team. Playing home, it does have a lot to do with it. I do. The crowd gets into it, the Battle of Death Valley, all this. But as I say, I'm going to go Clemson. They're playing home. I will go Clemson.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to be a really fun matchup. I think it comes down to really. I think this is another one that it's the quarterback matchup for me. Because, you got Garrett Nussmeier taking on Cade Klubnik in what should be probably one of the best quarterback matchups of the entire season when it's all said and done. And so, they're two guys that legitimately, with the way that everything is, could win the Heisman. So you don't know. I don't know. My gut I just got a feeling like maybe this is Brian Kelly's year to finally win an opening game, like the first game of the year for LSU. So I'll go LSU.
Yeah, I think there again. I don't think they want a really wrong answer. And as far as quarterbacks, here's the thing though: whichever one comes out, and has a big game, wins, those say 3 or 4 touchdowns. You're looking at all of a sudden jumping into the Heisman. All of a sudden, they're going to be talked about when every Saturday when game day comes on. They talk about the Heisman. This is going to be the guy with. This is going to be Nussmeier, Klubnik. And same thing with Arch Manning. If he goes out there, if he goes to Ohio State and Texas beats Ohio State, and he has a big game, he's already going to be talked about anyway. But it's going to just skyrocket. So those two games right there, depending on what the quarterbacks do, could be skyrocketing toward the Heisman talk all year. So. But it's hard to go against home teams when it's what I consider like evenly matched. And I think Texas, Ohio State, Clemson, LSU, I think both those games are evenly matched, talent wise, coaching, everything. But I think the home team has the advantage, and I would go to home teams in that one. And I know I picked Bama on the road, but I don't think they're evenly matched with Florida State. I think there's a difference in that one.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to Utah and UCLA.
Oh, that's a real interesting one because I really hadn't looked into them. I know the quarterback Tennessee transferred UCLA, and there's a story out there today about him. So there's a lot of stuff even going on about him. Utah kind of been a little bit down last year or two. And I like Utah. I'm gonna go Utah, and this may out there again. Maybe leaving matched. I don't really know. So I haven't really studied them much, but I will go Utah.
Okay. I think this is a really interesting matchup. First off, this game doesn't kick off till 10 o'clock Central Time. So depending on if I'm done with work, I may be able to watch this game, depending on how it is. Either way, I will say this. This is a really interesting matchup just because Utah last year was not great. UCLA, same thing. UCLA went out and got their quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, And one thing that people don't realize, the quarterback who played at New Mexico last year, I believe his name's Devin Dampier. He's now the quarterback at Utah. And this is a guy that was, even though New Mexico was not a good football team, you got to look at it. He played really good for New Mexico, and he played for Bronco Mendenhall. So it was, he's a good quarterback. That being said, it's being played at UCLA. My gut just tells me Nico just wants to come out there and show all the Tennessee people, even though it's not being against Tennessee. I think he really wants to show people why that he was better off leaving, and I think UCLA finds a way to win this game.
Yeah, there again, I hadn't really studied these two teams, but and then I don't know. It's just hard to say much about these two, but there again, I think go either way. But I'm going Utah. The history of Utah has usually got a pretty good team, and I'll go with Utah.
All right, we got Virginia Tech and South Carolina.
Let's see, this one I actually kind of like because Virginia Tech, they're again historically it's usually a pretty good team, but they've been kind of a little bit down again. Also, South Carolina's one of those teams everybody's really pumping. Perhaps one of these potential playoff teams, or the borderline playoff, whatever term you want to use. Lenore Sellers, he's a Heisman candidate. I've heard him picked as the SEC Player of the Year. So there's a lot of hype around us out there. Again, all season is about hyping certain teams. There's no one team people hyping. They could have been in the playoff last year. They had 9-3. Should have been there, beat Clemson. All that. I'm going to go South Carolina because honestly, Virginia Tech and their coach, I don't have no confidence in them because I watched them play last year. I believe it was Miami, and they should have beat Miami. So there was a couple of really bad coaching calls, and it cost them the game. So, but I'll go South Carolina.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go South Carolina as well, just because Lenore Sellers is just going to. He's the big thing. I think he's just so much better than. I think he's a really good quarterback, and I just don't see Virginia Tech's defense being able to stop him. And I think the one thing, though, that I think Lenore Sellers will have an incredible year, but I think that if South Carolina really wants to go as far as what people say they're going to go, he's got to basically have a Cam Newton season. He's got to carry the team on his back and take them where they want to go. So that's the only thing I will say as far as the offense that South Carolina has this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be fun to see what he can do, and if they have anything to go around with him for the running game or whatever, and what the defense does. So, and the one thing with South Carolina, we'll say those special teams will be big with them because of Beamer. Shane Beamer, his dad, Frank Beamer, big about this. Frank Beamer coached Virginia Tech. So, we can't forget about that little storyline there of the game. But, their special teams will be good. So, if he got a running game go around with you, this team could be a very dangerous team through the whole year. So, we'll see what they do Saturday.
All right. Sunday night, Notre Dame and Miami. Now, I will say this. The last two games I am not going to pick because I will be doing those games. Mm-hmm. So I won't be picking these last two. But Notre Dame and Miami, who you got?
That's pretty good. But you're playing at Miami. It's a night game. Carson Beck was transferred down to Miami, and there's a lot of stories about that. But ton of talent. Notre Dame played. They actually played for the national championship last year. New quarterback in Notre Dame. Notre Dame's been known to kind of blow a game here. Well, both teams actually been known to blow games. I think maybe kind of evenly matched, but I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with Miami on this one.
Okay. Now, I will say, I think I heard that the starting quarterback for Notre Dame this year, I believe, is C.J. Carr. And something interesting about that is it may be Bo Schembechler's grandson or something like that. Some historic Michigan coach. It's his grandson.
It's Lloyd Carr. Lloyd Carr's grandson.
That's right.
Yeah.
I couldn't really remember what I read, but
yeah.
It makes it an interesting matchup. And here's the thing. Last year, part of what helped Notre Dame get where they were was that Riley Leonard was a mobile quarterback. You know, he made plays when they needed it with his legs. They didn't really have the best and most flashiest receivers, and they don't really have that this year either. But they were helped out because you had a good running back in Jeremiah Love. You had Riley Leonard, a mobile quarterback who can make plays with his legs. All that being said, and you look at Miami, like you said, Carson Beck's there. He's a drop back quarterback who's going to sit back there and throw the ball. I got to be honest. I'm going to disagree with you. I think Notre Dame finds some way because I think they ride Jeremiah Love to a win in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, with the running game Notre Dame's got, you know, they play sound game. You know, don't turn the ball over, control the ball. It's not a big power offense. You know, as far as big explosive. Carson Beck did have a problem last year. You know, a couple of big games with Alabama, threw I think 3 interceptions. Yeah, but I don't know. I just something about that Miami team. Maybe him getting away from Georgia and getting out of the hype last year for Carson Beck was they were talking about him being the first player picked in the draft. He was all this, and so he left. So I don't know. Maybe been in Miami. Maybe I won't say more talent. So definitely not more talent in Miami, but maybe a little bit pressured off of. And I don't know. I'm gonna go Miami first game and just see.
You know what I just noticed I did? I just picked the game even though I just said I wasn't going to pick the game.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say nothing, but I did catch that.
Well, all right.
It'll be all right.
TCU in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's a good way to end the weekend in college football. Belichick's first game. We will see. I don't trust him. I don't think he's going to transition from the pros to the college. I've seen today he named the transfer from South Alabama starting quarterback. So you're going with an experienced quarterback. But TCU, they played the national championship, a couple of years ago. So, and they were up and down. I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to go with TCU. Something about North Carolina, I just don't know. Now I may be totally wrong. They may go out there and blow out TCU playing at home. I don't know. But I think this first game was going to be so many eyes going to be watching because Bill Belichick, what can he do? And, it's so hype. And, it may be almost like it was when Deion's first game at Colorado. Who they play first game? TCU. So we'll see. But I don't know. Maybe I need change. I don't know. I'm going back and forth with this, but I'm going to stick with TCU. I'm going to go to upset. I'm going to go with TCU to upset on Monday night.
All right. Of course, that is our game picks for this weekend, and we'll see what happens. Of course, this game is still in a weather delay.